And what we're going to talk about with baseball, I think you all knew that this is going to come up, is that both New York fan bases are a little bit concerned about their closer. And what I would say, first off, we'll start with the Mets. So Edwin Diaz came in yesterday with a 2-0 lead, a 2-0 Miami lead, and he hadn't pitched in a while, so they needed to get him time. And he gave up 3 runs. And his velocity is down. I will tell you this, and it also applies to how Devin Williams pitched yesterday as well. In all the years I've been around baseball, they could say it doesn't make a difference, but it does make a difference. When a closer comes into a non-save situation, they don't have the same energy. They don't have the same intensity. They don't have the same emotion or drive. They say they do, but they don't. Their job is to get the last 3 outs of a game where the tying run is on deck or you have a 3-run lead in the ninth. If it's a 4-run lead, like what Devin Williams inherited, not the same intensity. If a 2-0 deficit, the way Edwin Diaz inherited that yesterday, certainly not the same intensity. Much less than what Devin Williams had. Because you're just trying to hold it there at 2-0. Forget about a save. And he didn't have it. It was cold, had a hard time gripping the baseball. I'm not concerned just yet. Especially about Diaz. Because if the velocity doesn't come back, that will be a little bit of a concern. But let the weather get a little hotter. And we talked about this the last time we spoke on Monday when I was talking to you from Detroit. Everybody that's a baseball fan now seems that they get to apply the same logic as football fans. You can't make decisions after 12 games. It's irresponsible. Now let's shuffle over to Devin Williams. So Devin Williams came in on opening day at Yankee Stadium, almost blew the lead against Milwaukee. He didn't. It was a thrill a minute, a tightrope, and he got out of it and got the save, and the Yankees won the game. In the subsequent times that he's pitched, he has not looked ultra sharp. And yesterday, with a 4-0 lead in a game that the Yankees really did need, just to end the road trip on a positive note, enjoy the off day today with a little more joy, and he almost gave it away. And he looked rocky. He doesn't seem like his mechanics are great. So just while I was on the plane following the game last night, I was looking through social media because I get a kick out of, fans that want to overreact. People screaming at the top of their lungs, all capital letters, that Luke Weaver is their closer, not this guy. Okay. So if you actually want to do a little bit of work, what you have to do is take a look at the past. Because if you don't study the past, you're doomed to repeat it. And if you look at his numbers year by year, he gets off to a slow start. And then he becomes dominant. It is not any kind of a mystery that this guy has one of the greatest ERAs since he's become a closer of anybody in baseball. Is he pitching great now? No. Would I take the closer's job away from him? Of course not. Anybody that would do that, I'm sorry. I don't mean to insult you all. I really don't. You don't know the game that well. They went out and got this guy to be their closer. They want Luke Weaver to be the guy that pitches the 7th and the 8th inning leading to the closer. Now, might they, and I don't think they will, but might they, if he continues to struggle, might they put him in lower leverage situations while he works out his mechanics? Could be. But before you overreact and say, I don't want any part of him anymore, you do have to look at the fact that his past indicates he comes out of the gate and struggles a bit. He has not had steady work at all because a lot of the games that the Yankees won were blowout games when they were hitting all those home runs. Then the first 2 games in Detroit, the Yankees weren't ahead. Then he missed 3 games, the final 3 games against the Diamondbacks, because of the fact that he was on paternity leave. So this guy has not exactly had regular work. And I'm not saying that is he going to be a great closer here. I have no idea. All we could do is look at what he's been in the past, and he's been a great closer. His numbers would indicate that he's either the best closer in baseball or the second best. You can interchange he and Emmanuel Clase. Now, I know a lot of the people were saying, Pete Alonso broke him last year. And I'm going to tell you some of the negative things I've heard, too. So when I was talking to all the Milwaukee people in the season opening series, it seemed like Milwaukee was very happy to get rid of him. He's a different personality. And, sometimes the Yankees ignore a personality that might not fit in New York because they are true believers, and this is from the analytics end, that talent plays anywhere. That's why they knew what Joey Gallo was all about, but they felt that his talent would supersede the fact that he could be uncomfortable in New York. Guess what? It didn't. And I think they're dead wrong on this. I think that the ability to fit in and blend in and deal with the pressures, the inherent pressures of being a Yankee, that's a big part of this job. Some guys can do it. Some guys can't. I'm not passing judgment on Devin Williams yet. I don't know if he's that guy or not. But I know the talent is there. So I love watching Nick Turturro, implode in real time on X. He's watching the game and he's going crazy. And he said, why does this guy get the job? He didn't earn anything. Luke Weaver was the guy. Why would you give this guy the job? Well, what I would say to Nick, if I was talking to him, let's go back to 1977. And Sparky Lyle was the Cy Young Award winner closing for the New York Yankees. And what the Yankees do? They signed Goose Gossett to a big money multi-year contract. And guess what? In 1978, he didn't have to earn the job. They took the job from Sparky Lyle and gave it to Goose Gossett. It happens. You get what you think is a better player, and Sparky Lyle ended up getting traded to the Texas Rangers. Greg Nettles' famous line, he went from Cy Young to Sayonara. Luke Weaver was an emergency fill-in as a closer, and he did a great job. And all those that are calling right now for Luke Weaver to be the closer, are you watching him too? Because his velocity is not where it was at the end of the year. He's still building up to where he wants to be. So everybody has to take a deep breath. And I think a lot of this has to do because many people out there think that Devin Williams is the guy that really pushed the needle the most to get rid of the Yankees' 50-year-old policy of no beards. And from what I've heard, he was not happy that he had to shave his beard. And that there was some conversation between his people and the Yankees about why does this have to be. Not that he demanded anything, and maybe that was the final thing where the Yankees have been studying this for a while. So Yankee fans that like tradition, and I do too, will look at him and go, how dare this guy, who hasn't been able to close a clean game yet, change the long-held policy. So I'm sure that has something to do with it too. But all I would ask all of you to just do in a rational manner, look at his past. There's nothing surprising here. And one other thing, and I've told a lot of people this when they stop me on the street, we have all been spoiled, probably for our entire life, by how easy Mariano Rivera made it look. He was a never let them sweat sort of guy. If he blew a save, it was in a hurry, and if he got the save, it was 3 up and 3 down, and most of the times he got the save. He didn't blow many. And that's why he's the only unanimous Hall of Famer. Everybody else since then makes you sweat. It's just the way it is. Look at the best closers in the game. There's nobody like Mariano. It was like watching him in a rocking chair. You never really got your heartbeat accelerated. And from talking to people around Milwaukee, Devin Williams is a high-wire act. He makes you walk the tightrope. He doesn't make it clean. He just doesn't. Yankees knew that when they got him. Yankees are not giving up on Devin Williams, nor should they. It would be folly to pull the plug on a guy that for the last 5 years has been the dominant closer in all of baseball. And because he didn't make it easy enough for you, he made you sweat a little bit, you want him to lose his job. Well, you could get as upset as you want, and you could get as upset with me as you want. It's not happening. They're not taking the job away from him. And I wouldn't worry about the Yankee bullpen either. A lot of people are talking about that. Don't worry about it. It's a work in progress. They just got back Ian Hamilton. Probably sometime in May, they're going to get back Jonathan Loaisiga. Luke Weaver is only going to get better, and you know what? He's pitched well despite not having the velocity he had last year. Mark Leiter is better than you all think. I know a lot of people want to pull the plug on Mark Leiter because he gave up that grand slam against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Again, everybody, I don't know if I can articulate this enough. You don't make decisions on a game-to-game basis in baseball. If you do, you don't know the game. You could be a fanatic. I understand that's what a fan is. And you want results immediately. I get it. Wasn't a great road trip for the Yankees. They were 3-3. They're 2 games over 500. Nobody's running away with anything. But you don't make changes like that in baseball. It's not rational. And somewhere, somehow, along the way, we all became fans that think in baseball now. In football, you could be like this. In baseball, something doesn't work out, let's change it. No. I'll explain once again. I've been doing this 23 years, making the same explanation over and over. Baseball is stew, okay? It has to cook. It has to simmer. It's not a microwave sport. Football is 17 games. You lose the first 2 games, your whole season could go in the crapper. Baseball, not so much. Not the way it is. I was laughing on the plane at the overreaction for people because Devin Williams almost blew the game. Yankees won the game, didn't they? And Devin Williams didn't pitch well. And why don't you give credit to Aaron Boone? He didn't let him sit there and blow the game. He had his bullpen up, and when it came down to the fact that all of a sudden the tying run was in scoring position, he went in and got Leiter. And Leiter got the out right away. Game over. Yankees win 4-3. And they go 3-3 on a road trip where they didn't play that well. They took 2 out of 3 from the Pirates. And they lost 2 out of 3 to the Tigers. The game they lost in Pittsburgh on Sunday, that was tough to take. And Devin Williams got the loss, but I don't look at that and say, well, you know what, he was terrible. The inherited runner, you could actually pitch well and still lose the game. Now, he didn't. He gave up Tommy Pham a big hit. I get it. And then he comes in yesterday and almost blows the game. I can't sit here and guarantee to you, oh, he's going to be fine. Now, by studying history, I would think, well, he's going to be fine. And I think the Yankees will watch him closely. And they'll pick their spots. And if he has to be put into a lower leverage situation for an appearance or 2 just to get him work, they'll do it. He's not losing his closer job, everybody. If that's what you want, you can continue to wish. But if teams made decisions based on fans' reaction, they would be sitting with fans. One quick thing about the Mets. They're beating the teams that they're supposed to beat. Their bullpen has been outstanding. And their starting pitching has been just good enough. And they've beaten teams that they should beat. Now, they lost to the Marlins. It would have been nice to, have an unbelievable homestand like that. But you can't win every single game. And the Marlins are not the Washington Generals, although they're close. But there are some things that you look at. Beatty on fire in spring training. He's blowing his chance. He's blowing his chance. Falling behind in the count, looks nervous up there. He's blowing his chance to be a significant Met. Acuna, again, also blowing his chance. Vientos has not played the way he played last year yet. Not worried about that at this point. The Mets are not going to get a lot of offensive production out of center field. They're just not. But one thing that I've noticed in going over all the games, because even when the Yankees are playing at the same time, I do DVR every Met game and I watch the important parts. Teams have decided we are not, under any circumstance, letting Juan Soto beat us. And what they're doing is they're passing the baton and daring Pete Alonso to beat them. And fortunately for the Mets, Pete Alonso has been up for the task. So yesterday, the manager of the Marlins, McCullough, has first and third with Soto coming up. And he walks Soto intentionally. First base was not open, but David Cohn always says if there's a base open, it's just like first base being open. And he tried to set up the double play. For some strange reason, he brought in the infield while trying to set up a double play. And then Pete Alonso made them pay. And there's the difference from this year to last year. People were careful with Soto, but they would not just walk him willy-nilly and dare Judge to beat them. Now, he'd work a walk because he doesn't expand the zone, but they weren't intentionally walking Soto to get to Judge. They're doing that in the National League with the Mets. So, at the start of the season at least, there's not near the respect for Alonso as there was for Judge. And rightfully so. Judge is a better player. But Alonso's a dangerous player too. And he has lived up to what he has to do. And there's a story on ESPN today in a Spanish language interview. Soto told Steve Cohen and David Stearns, you got to bring back Alonso to hit behind me. And his insistence on that has certainly proven right at this point because Alonso has come through. But how long will this go on? Because Soto has an over 400 on-base percentage, but he has not been able to do that much damage because they won't let him. Will this be the whole season where Alonso has to stay on point because they are not letting Soto beat them? Hey, look at the big hits the Yankees got out of Soto last year. You know why? Because nobody wanted to pitch to Judge. Even in the postseason, that big hit, the big home run that he had against the Guardians, they'd rather pitch to him than to Judge. That's not the calculus with the Mets at this point. So can Alonso keep up this hitting where he protects Soto and forces other teams to at least try to pitch to Soto every now and then, not just willy-nilly walk him? That's the difference for Soto as a New York Met. He had the greatest protection that you could have. It was Ruth and Gehrig all over again last year. But there were things that he liked about the Mets that he didn't like about the Yankees. And notice what he said. I think the Yankees are going to be good for 6 or 7 years. After that, I'm not so sure. Let's do the math here. Oh, Judge only has 6 or 7 years left on his contract. That's what he means. Who's going to hit behind me? Who's going to protect me when Judge is gone? Nobody knows. Who knows who's going to emerge? It could end up being Jason Dominguez. It could end up being Kyle Tucker. We have no idea. But I know what he was thinking. I know I've got protection with Judge, but when he's gone, what do I have? I don't understand why he wouldn't think the same about the Mets, but he felt that Alonso would give him protection. Alonso has provided production to make teams pay for walking Soto, but he hasn't given them protection yet because they still will not pitch to Soto. I don't think the Mets want to pay an average of $50 million a year for a guy that doesn't get a chance to hit. They've got to. You're never going to find a guy like Judge to bat behind Soto because Judge is one of one. Can Alonso be that protection where you make a team think about walking this guy? So some thoughts on the two New York teams who've gotten off to decent starts. 1-800-919-3776. We'll get to you. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. Also in the 2 o'clock hour, I'm going to break down the way the Yankees are built, where it might not be perfect, everybody. There's something legitimately there that you can worry about.